I'm watching this ceremony that they having about the 9/11 attacks. I'm thinking, dang, we went to war.
An eyewitness who said there was an explosion on floor 7-8. 7-8. We've just had another explosion. Warren Street because of the secondary explosion. We've got numerous people covered with dust from the secondary explosion. And we got another explosion on the tower, 1013. 1013. Tower 2 has had a major explosion and what appears to be a complete collapse surrounding the entire area. Who's involved in the secondary explosion at Tower 1K? I've got 5. Hey, Ladder 1-5. We got 2 isolated pockets of fire. We should be able to knock it down.
It wasn't planned. All them people that lost their lives, and for what? Something ain't seeming right. Let's take a look.
Like, it sounded like gunfire, you know, bang, 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 and then all of a sudden, 3 big explosions.
Fire marshal came in and said we had to leave because if there was a 3rd explosion, this building might not last.
There was a heavy-duty explosion.
And there's secondary explosions and then the subsequent collapses.
What? Did you hear that? That's some crazy stuff.
The entire building has just collapsed, as if a demolition team set off. When you see the old demolitions of these old buildings, it folded down.
See, and then when you get to speaking about this stuff, people think you're crazy or something like that. When a lot of people they don't remember seeing this footage. That's what's wild. If you look at this footage and you listen to what they were saying, it'll probably put it in different perspective.
Now, here we're going to show you a videotape of the collapse itself.
Describe that.
Now we go to videotape, the collapse of this building.
It's amazing.
Amazing, incredible, pick your word. For the 3rd time today, it's reminiscent of those pictures we've all seen too much on television before, when a building was deliberately destroyed by well-placed dynamite to knock it down.
Let's we just stay with this photograph for this graphic for just a second. Well, no, there's number 7 coming down. When you think that part of the component of news coverage around the country every year is the excitement and the fun that people get watching an old building being demolished, and they wire it very carefully for days, and it's a very careful operation in order to make sure that a building comes down safely. I think the last one we saw was when they brought down one of the old casinos in Las Vegas. I mean, this is just stunning to see these things come down.
Looks like a demolition to me. So you could tell it was a demolition.
3 buildings on the same day. I mean, just that one statistic. Well, it's 400 times 400 times 400. You know, it's just a very small number already, the probability. And then for it to come down symmetrically. Yeah? I mean, again, the probability for that is more likely it will tip over, see? So that's the more likely. So what's the probability that somehow all 3 buildings come straight down?
Official explanation: falling debris from the Twin Towers created an internal fire, which ignited several fuel tanks inside the building. The building's tenants included the CIA, Department of Defense, IRS, Secret Service, and Rudy Giuliani's emergency bunker. And the SEC was using it to store 3,000 to 4,000 files related to numerous Wall Street investigations.
And the 9/11 Commission report has been released for some time now. Some folks are still asking questions about what happened that day. A Zogby poll commissioned just last month by 911truth.org found that a whopping 42% of Americans think the government and the 9/11 Commission are covering something up. Michael Berger, 911truth.org press spokesperson. Welcome to Scarborough Country.
Thank you, Michael.
What's the one element that you think folks in Scarborough Country will say, holy smokes, I didn't know that?
Well, I had asked your producer if you would play a clip of Building 7, for example.
We will. Here you go. Tell us what we're about to see.
Well, I can't see the clip, but what you're seeing is Building 7 was north of the World Trade Center site. It was damaged in the collapse of the North Tower. on its south face. It was a 47-story tall, 570-foot tall building, and yet even the FEMA report in the investigation of the collapse of that building, again, was never hit by a plane. Collapsed at 5:20 in the afternoon on September 11th.
But it was in such close proximity to the Twin Towers. I mean,
Absolutely.
surely it paid a price because it was...
Absolutely, Michael, it did. However, again, the NIST investigation said that the damage from the collapse of the North Tower took out structural columns on the south face. If you watch that clip, you can see, depending on the clip you're showing, whether or not the east penthouse begins the collapse.
Michael Berger,
and yet, Michael, let me finish though. And yet, the building does not collapse to the south in the direction of the damage.
Right,
it collapses straight down symmetrically in 6.6 seconds.
I got to move on because our time.
What do you think it is?